This is Frostline Economics. What you are about to hear is not nostalgia. It is a map. The United States is walking it step by step in 1850. Britain made over half of the world's iron and coal and a huge share of textiles. They built the railways that tied continents together. They launched ships that ruled the seas. Their factories powered global industry. Their engineering was so advanced that other nations bought British machines, hired British engineers, and copied British methods just to compete. By 1950, Britain could not make steel at a competitive price. Textile mills were closed. Shipyards were silent. The factories that once employed millions were empty. The nation that ignited the Industrial Revolution became an importer of manufactured goods from Germany, America, and Japan. The workshop of the world turned into a post-industrial economy dependent on finance and services. They never recovered. Not in 75 years. When you lose manufacturing, you almost never get it back. Right now in 2025, United States is following that same timeline, about 170 years behind. We are closing factories. We are losing market share. We are importing from competitors we used to dominate. We are in stage 4 of the same 5-stage pattern that erased Britain's industrial base. Britain was not alone. In 1950, Detroit was the richest city in America per person. It was the motor capital of the world. By 2013, Detroit was bankrupt. Before we break down the pattern, we need to define manufacturing in real terms. Manufacturing is not just making things. It is technological capability. It is supply chain resilience. It is national security. It is the middle class. When you make things, you employ engineers who innovate. You train workers who build skills. You create supply chains that become full ecosystems. A car plant does not only hire auto workers, it pulls in steel suppliers, parts makers, tool and die shops, logistics companies, engineers, and designers. One factory job supports many other jobs in the community. When manufacturing thrives, the middle class thrives. You can earn good wages without a college degree. You can buy a home, raise a family, and build wealth. When manufacturing dies, the ecosystem dies. Jobs disappear. Skills fade. Supply chains move overseas. Rebuilding takes decades, if it is possible at all. Nations that lose their manufacturing base become dependent on others for goods, for technology, and even for security. Manufacturing is power. Losing it is national self-harm. We have seen this pattern 3 times. Britain, Detroit, the American. Rust Belt, here is how it repeats. Stage 1 is dominance. Britain started the Industrial Revolution in the 1760s. By 1850, Britain produced over 50% of iron and coal and over 40% of manufactured goods. British textiles clothed the world. British steel built railroads. British ships carried global trade. The core technologies were British. Steam engines, power looms, the Bessemer steel process, railways. Telegraph, Britain had coal and iron. It had an empire and capital. It had skilled workers. It practiced free trade because it could outmake everyone. Stage 2 is when competitors copy and then improve. In the mid-1800s, Germany and the United States industrialized. They studied British methods. They bought British machinery. They hired British engineers. Then they upgraded everything. Germany built strong technical schools. Companies like Krupp and Siemens advanced steel and electrical engineering. By 1900, Germany made more steel than Britain. America had oil, huge resources, and a giant home market. Leaders like Carnegie and Rockefeller used the newest technology. By 1900, the United States produced more steel than Britain and Germany combined. Stage 3 is market share decline and rising competition. Britain dismissed the threat and then began to import what it once made. Coal mines closed. Steel turned uncompetitive. Factories shut down. Being first did not matter when others did it better and cheaper. Now, Detroit. 1950 was stage 1 dominance. Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler employed 250,000 workers in the city. and hundreds of thousands more in suppliers. Union pay, health care, and pensions allowed a high school graduate to buy a house, support a family, and retire with dignity. The population reached 1.8 million. Then Stage 2 arrived. In the 1960s and 1970s, Japanese automakers entered the market. They used lean manufacturing, just-in-time inventory, and continuous improvement. The 1973 oil shock punished inefficient American models. Japanese cars won on reliability and fuel economy. Stage 3 followed. Market share fell. Offshoring began. The Big Three cut costs and moved production to cheaper regions and abroad. Stage 4 hit in the 2000s. The financial crisis in 2008 broke General Motors and Chrysler. Bailouts arrived, but many Detroit plants never reopened. Ford survived, yet still closed capacity in the city. Scale that story to the Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin. In 1970, the region was Stage 1 dominance. Steel, machinery, rubber, and heavy industry led the economy. The United States made about 20% of the world's steel. United States Steel employed 300,000 people. Bethlehem Steel employed 165,000. Stage 2 began when Germany, Japan, and South Korea built modern mills with electric arc furnaces and continuous casting. Labor costs were far lower. American mills were older and slower to modernize. Stage 3 brought plant closures and bankruptcies through the 1980s and 1990s. Tariffs and cost-cutting replaced deep reinvestment. NAFTA, in 1994, accelerated relocation to low-wage zones. Stage 4 arrived after 2000. China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001 and scaled production at a historic speed. China made more steel than the rest of the world combined. Textiles, electronics, tools, and furniture moved to Asia at prices American plants could not match. United States manufacturing employment fell from 19 million in 1980 to around 11 million in 2010. 8 million jobs were lost. Factory wages near $60,000 dropped to retail wages near $25,000. Cities hollowed out. Youngstown fell from 170,000 people to 60,000. Gary fell from 175,000 to 69,000. Flint lost half its population. Addiction and despair spread where mills once stood. The pattern is the same every time. Stage 1. Manufacturing dominance and technological lead. Stage 2. Competitors copy and improve while the leader underestimates them. Stage 3. Market share declines and offshoring begins. Stage 4. Factory closures accelerate and the ecosystem breaks. Stage 5. Full deindustrialization and strategic dependency. Where's America today? We are in Stage 4 and moving towards Stage 5. Manufacturing as a share of the economy fell from about 28% in 1950 to about 11% today. Employment fell from 19 million in 1980 to about 13 million today, even though the population is much larger. We lost scale and muscle memory. We now import the backbone of daily life. Pharmaceutical ingredients are mostly made in China and India. During the pandemic, we could not rapidly produce masks, ventilators, or protective equipment. Electronics are designed in America but built in Asia because the supply chains and tooling and labor pools live there. China makes around 1 billion tons of steel each year. The United States makes around 80 million. China builds about 40% of the world's ships. The United States builds less than 1%. Taiwan makes most of the world's leading-edge semiconductors. You cannot flip a switch and rebuild 50 years of lost capability. The people who knew how have retired. The suppliers moved offshore. The machines were scrapped. The knowledge dispersed, the bill is due. The trade deficit is near $800 billion a year. That is money leaving and not returning. Middle-class factory jobs were replaced by lower-pay service roles with fewer benefits. We depend on rivals for goods, for technology, and for critical inputs. If a conflict demands a rapid industrial surge, we do not have the capacity. Our competitors do. Stage 5 is full deindustrialization. Britain reached it by 1950. Detroit reached it by 2013. Large parts of the Rust Belt reached it by 2020. The national system of the United States is drifting there now. At the current pace, 5 more years could make manufacturing a memory. A service's only superpower is a contradiction. Manufacturing sustains power. Britain learned that the hard way. Why do leaders fail? They believe dominance is permanent. They mock competitors. They choose short-term profit over long-term capability. They lose factories, skills, and communities. They do not recover. America is one step from stage 5. One step from structural dependency on China. One step from losing the industrial base that made us a superpower. The hard truth is this. Once you lose manufacturing, you almost never get it back. Britain has not rebuilt in 75 years. Detroit has not recovered in 50. The Rust Belt is still bleeding 40 years later. When stage 5 lands, it hardens into place. How long until stage 5 is undeniable? 5 years. Or is it already here and we refuse to say it? The math points one way. If this opened your eyes to what we have lost and where we are going, subscribe to Frostline Economics. When stage 5 is declared and America cannot make what it needs, you will want to know how we got here, why we did not see it, and what it takes to claw back capacity. The answers are not hiding in the future. They are written in rust and ruins. From Britain to Detroit to the Rust Belt, we read the wreckage so you do not repeat it. Like, share, and subscribe.